Yo, it's me, M3, but you already know. So we're approaching the 20-year anniversary of 9/11, and I just want to take a trip down memory lane. Most of us, if not all of us, remember what we were doing on 9/11 if you're old enough. For me, on the morning of 9/11, I woke up like a normal day, you know what I'm saying? I was in 8th grade. I usually walk into my mom's room and watch the news because the time was like on the bottom right hand corner of the news. We just sit there for like a little bit and then I walk to school. But this day on the news, one of the towers was on fire and I didn't know what happened. My mom was like, a plane hit the tower and there's a fire and they're trying to get everybody out. And I didn't know what was going on. But I think I got a ride to school that day because I got there really early. When I got to school, we usually stand outside, play Stitch, or some people play hacky sack, sit around talking, whatever. But this day, everybody went straight into the building. So when I got there, we all went to our first period class. Like I said, I was really early, so I was like one of the first people in the class. But I got there, and my teacher, Miss Curran, was was sitting at her desk, but she was crying because of what was going on. And the second plane hit. I don't think I saw the second plane hit on TV, but it was hit. And then that's when they started talking about it could be a possible terrorist attack because why would two planes hit the buildings right next to each other? Like two planes, like that's very. So my teacher was crying like a lot because she had family and friends that I think either worked there or lived close by and she didn't know what was going on, so she was obviously worried. And at that time, it got really scary because no one knew what was happening. Everybody was glued to the TV, and it was scary times. As time went on, more kids started to come, and we all was in class at that time, and we didn't do anything. We just sat there watching the TV screen this entire time, trying to figure out what was going on, what was happening. And we kept getting announcements on the intercom saying to stay in your first period class if the bell rings, and it was just confusing times. And we was kids, man. We was in 8th grade. The whole time we sat there watching the news, not really understanding what was happening, but still watching. Our teacher was still sitting there crying the whole time, trying to explain what was happening. But we were kids. Like, you're explaining something that you don't even know what's going on to a class of students that's in 8th grade, like 12 year olds, 13-year olds. Like, now I can imagine how hard it was for her to worry about her family and friends that work or live there and trying to tell us kids what was going on. It was it was crazy. A little time after that, we was sitting watching, and that's when the first building collapsed. When the first building collapsed, that's when Miss Curran fell on the floor and she was crying hard, and it was kind of awkward because we were kids and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to comfort her or anything, so we just sat there at the desk and just looked, like asking her if she was okay. Like, it was awful. Like, we were kids. I keep saying that, but we were kids, and other teachers from other classrooms, like one of us must have went to go get them because I remember another teacher coming in and consoling Miss Curran, and it was hard for us kids to watch it and understand it. So we stayed in our first period class for most of the day, and it was just a rough day. We was hearing stories about the Pentagon being attacked and the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. So there was no more information being given at that time. So we were just sitting there looking at the news, and all the anchors is guessing. Basically, everybody was guessing on the news at what was going on and giving us updates, which wasn't coming fast at all because everybody in the country was confused. So we was just sitting there watching and watching and watching like most of the day. Eventually, we got let out to our homerooms because nothing was happening really. So we all went to our homerooms, and my homeroom happened to be Miss Curran class. So I stayed there for another hour because it was homeroom, and then half of us go to lunch, and then it switches. So it's long hour. Well, it's long hour. It's homeroom, and then you go to lunch, and then whatever the other students go to, it was long hour. So you will be in one class throughout the other side's homeroom and lunch. It's kind of hard to explain, but if you know, you know. Throughout the day, we only did work in like maybe one or two classes because obviously they didn't really care. They was like, man, I don't care if the country's going down. We doing homework. So every other class, we just sit there and watch the news and had our teachers talking about it to us. Because I remember our teachers would sit there and try to explain to us, but it's kind of weird because they had no idea what was going on, but they still sat up there and tried to explain to us. Because I guess we wouldn't really understand anyway, so they just said, hey man, we could say anything pretty much. So it was a crazy day, and 20 years later, we're just now leaving Afghanistan. 20 years. And it's crazy to think that 20 years ago I was in 8th grade watching what was happening on TV. I would never know 20 years from now I'll be an adult man and we will still be fighting in the same war. It sounds crazy, but people were so scared. We was putting plastic over the windows just in case we had a chemical attack, and everybody was scared to like go to the city, and it was just weird, man. Seeing planes at all was like scary. Like nobody wanted to fly. Everybody was like, that's before the TSA became what they are today, with all the extra taking off your shoes and no water bottles and all that extra stuff we got to do now with X-ray vision through your clothes and all that stuff. That was way before that. So just thinking about the stuff before 9/11 and now we have to do after, it's just the way that day changed our country is something, man. I remember making a scrapbook about it. I had newspapers every day or whenever it was, and I used to cut out clippings and made a whole scrapbook about 9/11. I thought I was gonna keep it, and then when I get older or whatever, I look at it, and that was before, you know what I'm saying, the internet is Facebooks and MySpace, this stuff was popping too, so now you don't have to, you got all the information you want just by right at the fingertips. But it was before all that too, which is crazy to think too. Like it was before we had smartphones and all that stuff. So even though I had a cell phone, I had a Nokia at the time. But yeah, it was before all that, man. We had dial-up internet. But I made a scrapbook, but my scrapbook got damaged and destroyed in a flood that we had at our old house. So, you know what I'm saying, I wish I would have still kept it or had it still, but it was crazy times, and I remember like it was yesterday, man. If you guys remember what you was doing on 9/11, put it in the comments below. I would love to read them. Yeah, we're gonna remember that day forever. All the lives lost, all the soldiers that sacrificed their life in Afghanistan and here in Iraq and wherever else. We're gonna be remembering them forever. Hey, go ahead and leave me a comment if you remember. And stay safe. Alright?